ready to go. Ready to go.
Do you guys know what I do?
Arrest people?
I do arrest people. Do you know what else I do?
Do you, stop speeders?
I do. Right, I do all the
You go
fun
to
things
crime
that
scenes?
I do go to some crime scenes. I do all the fun stuff that police officers do, right?
Speed through traffic.
We'll touch on that. You ask me about that later, and I'll clarify that for you, okay?
Okay.
Because it's not that cut and dry. I had to go to what you guys call it as a police academy. It's actually called the Vermont Training Council. It's in Pittsford, Vermont. I had to go there for 16 weeks. I had to stay down there. I had to sleep down there. And do training for 16 weeks. And then I came home, I graduated, and then I had to go back for another 3 weeks. So 19 weeks total, I had to go down for training at the training council. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun, does it?
It does, because you have to do all those
It's
training
fun stuff,
courses.
right? Yeah, you get to learn all sorts of stuff. Every year, as a police officer, we have a certain amount of hours that we have to do training or to keep our certification. So we don't just get to be police officers and then be police officers without having to do anything, right? So every year, we have to practice with our guns and practice with our handcuffs. We have to take tests, and we have to make sure that we still know what we're doing.
Don't tase me.
5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we have to make sure we can still do what we're supposed to be doing. So right now, I am the school resource officer, which is a totally different job added on to my job. So I became a police officer. I worked on the road, what we call on the road, which is in our cruisers, however many hours a day we get scheduled for, doing the arresting and the motor vehicle stuff, which is pulling cars over, going to accident scenes, going to people's houses, taking complaints, and doing that stuff. I then became a school resource officer, but I had to go to school for that too. It's a week-long school. I had to go away for that school. And then the following year, I had to go away for another year to do another week of training. It's like going to Hannaford and Price Chopper, right? They sell the same stuff. They just work for a different company. So the state police, the St. Albans City Police, Shelburne Police, any of the municipal police departments, and the sheriff's department, just one second, we all go to the same academy.
Okay.
We all graduate at the same time. The difference is that the state police has their own academy that you have to attend for 3 weeks before ours, because they have some state police stuff that they're going to teach you that has to do with just the state police. But same thing. We all go to the same academy. We all graduate. Even the dogs graduate from the academy.
Yeah.
You have to be, by law in the state of Vermont, you have to be 18 years old to graduate from the academy. But most departments have their own policies. Our department, you're probably not going to get hired if you're not 21. And I say that because in order to be able to process a DUI, you have to be 21 years old. You can't process a DUI until you're old enough to drink alcohol in the state of Vermont.
A ride-along program?
We do have a right, you have to be 18. School kids can do it under 18 as long as their parents sign a waiver. The big deal to us is number one is officer safety and making sure that all of our men and women out there are safe. And what to do in case we need their help, or we need them to get in touch with someone else and we can't get to the radio. We typically carry a radio on our belt. I don't have mine on me because it doesn't come in the school, so I never have it with me. But we typically have radios on us.
Do you have a panic button on your radio?
Yep, on the top of our radio. I should have brought it with me today. On the top of our radios, there's a button. If we push it, it makes this loud, screechy, annoying, deafening sound in our office, and it goes throughout the whole office, and it's just like an intensified alarm clock, if you will. It's loud.
Because all the corrections officers have a radio.
And we would hear it, like say someone I was working with hit their panic button, I would hear it in my cruiser. So I would know, and it flashes their number, their call number. Like my call number is 12, so I'm Franklin Sheriff 12. So if I hit my panic button, my number is going to flash on somebody's radio, and it's going to make it god-awful. Go home.
So what do you think these guys, if they're interested in law enforcement, what do you think, since they won't be hired till they're 21, what should they do between 18 and 21? Go to college and do?
I always encourage people to get an education, because, and I'll tell you why. Do you guys know what I mean if I say that law enforcement has a high turnover rate? Probably not, right? It means a lot of people get into law enforcement and they think they want to be a cop, and they realize after 1 or 2 years they just can't hack it. That it's really not all the glitz and glamour that everyone thinks it is. It's not all about the guns and the driving the car fast and all that stuff. There's a lot more to it, right? It's not all this wild, crazy fun that everyone thinks it is. So after a couple years, you know, the majority of people bail out and they don't want to do it anymore. So you're going to need something to fall back on in case you decide that that's not what you want to do. So get an education. Probably not even in the criminal justice field is what I tell people, because typically the agencies that want you to have college background, it doesn't have to be a criminal justice. It just has to be a 2-year degree at some point. So get a 2-year degree in business or something fun, and have yourself a backing in case you decide that's not what you want to do in the long run. Because, like, for me, I got hired from the sheriff's office before I went through the academy. I had no police experience. So I went through for them, and how that's typically how it works. You get hired by an agency, they put you through the academy, they pay for your tuition, they pay for you to go, they pay you while you're there, and then you work for them. Usually sign a contract saying you'll work for at least a couple of years. But yeah, military definitely holds. You've already got that discipline. Don't get yourself in any trouble between high school and the time you want to become a police officer, because that never looks good, right?
How many years have you worked at the school?
At this school?
Yeah.
This is my 4th year here. I've been here a couple. I say that I'm a senior this year because I came in when the freshmen that are graduating this year were freshmen. I was a freshman when they were freshmen, and now I'm a senior. Yay.
Place where, like, you guys call, like, some people call, and, like, the people that answer call the police to tell them to go to that
Right,
place.
so those
like
are our
that kind of-
dispatchers, right? They're the people
Yeah.
on the other end of the radio that are telling us where to go. Absolutely, that's a good question. So, Vermont State Police and us and every other agency out there has what we call dispatchers. So, they're sitting at a desk with a computer, couple computer screens, because they have a lot to look at, and phone rings, they pick it up, someone on the other end needs our help, they push the button on their radio, which comes to our radios in our cars and on our belts, and they tell us where to go. They give us directions. They're our leader, if you will. We couldn't do what we do without them because we don't have phones in our cars. So we literally are in our cars waiting for them to call us. So they call us and they tell us where to go, who to talk to, what happened, and what needs to be done. You're considered an adult. So if you get charged, say you got in a fist fight with somebody, right? That can happen here. You get in a fist fight with somebody, you're 16 years old. You have to go to court as if you were an adult. Oh.
Radio.
Okay, so I'm going to leave this over here because...
How much does your belt weigh? It looks heavy.
Yeah, I'm going to let it's not as heavy as it usually is. My radio is not on here. My radio is the heaviest thing on my belt. So, now I'm going to tell you guys, pay attention to this, okay?
I don't want to hear it.
No. You grab a hold of it here like this, okay? And I'll tell you why after, but that's the only place I want you touching it. That's how heavy my belt is. It sits on my waist every day. It's pretty heavy, huh? You get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? A big girl's belt.
Wow, big girls then.
Big girl's belt. Yep.
Do you have to do physical training
Yep.
to keep your job?
Everything that's in my cruiser. My radio, I got 2. And I've got my regular radio, and then what's set on this radio is rescue for Enosburg, because I'm usually in Enosburg, but you can set anything to this.
I got a question.
Okay? Sure.
Because Dylan said that if you shut that, you can't see anything up front.
Well, you can't hear anything. I don't know about seeing. I don't sit back there much. But
Can I
it does
get back
float.
there and try?
No, it's full. My seat's got. I'll show you what's in my back seat after.
Yeah.
So, if you want to pay attention, guys, I'll make sure can you see, bud? So this is my camera. It's not on right now because it would run the battery down. This is my camera. This is the actual camera part, but this is where I control what I can see back what I'm recording, how fast I'm going, if I'm chasing somebody, and if my blue lights and my siren are on while I'm chasing somebody.
I got a quick question.
Sure.
And I got one question.
If you have 100 if you're doing, how much you go, 120 miles, I which you won't doubt, but like 80 past the speed limit, will you go to jail or?
That's a good question. Remember we talked about whether we were gonna talk about that. When I'm working, if I'm headed to a call, okay, and pretty much whenever I'm in this car, I am not bound by the motor vehicle laws in the state of Vermont. So if I were to turn without using my signal light, which I don't recommend, and I still do it if you've ever seen me drive, if I speed or if I decide to roll through a stop sign, I can't get in trouble for it. Now, even though I'm a police officer, if I'm in my car at home, I could get in trouble for it. So while I'm working, while I'm working, I don't have to. I should, and it's recommended, and we do get in trouble if we get caught doing stuff we're not supposed to do by our boss, but legally we wouldn't get in trouble.
Okay.
Okay, this is my radar. This is the actual radar part of it. This is what will pick up your speed if this is on. This is the part that's on, so it's not on right now. So it's on, and if someone were coming at me, we use the controller.
Okay.
Right? Not much more in my car. My hat is in my car. My radio, my speakers are here. My radio's actually on, so that's why I said don't touch anything. So this is, remember we talked about hobbling someone if they got a little out of control and started kicking? This is a hobble strap. So we pull this out and get a whole thing. I've got a flashlight, I've got a camera.
What does it do?
What? It ties their feet to their hands so they can't kick.